I'm going to throw it back at you. So I want to, if we can go back to Adam's calendar, if you want to add anything else there.
Well, there was a lot there. I mean, one of the things there is the stones that are aligned to the constellation of Orion. And I remember we were standing there looking at that stone and looking out at the three pyramids. That's another topic. And I said to one of the guides that was there, it wasn't the same IVF guy, and saying, why Orion? So again, keep in mind, this is very early in my understanding that in the shamanic world, I have to deal with aliens. I have to deal with extraterrestrials. Now I have to accept that that's part of our story and I have to deal with this. So I'm early to go, okay, Orion, well, what about Orion? Why this place in Orion? And this guide said, well, that's so that the people that would be here thousands and thousands of years later who would use this site as a ceremonial place would know where we came from. And when that aligns, when that constellation rises over the edge and it lines up, they would feel the connection to us. And that we built this so that they would have that feeling of connection to us. And they would know that someday we will come back. And that if they want to reach out to us, when they feel the vibration of the frequency of that constellation, it will resonate to these stones, to this place, and they'll feel okay. So it was kind of a beautiful thing of saying, we've tried to leave some message, some embrace to the creatures, because we knew that tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of years later, this site will still be powerful, and people will want to connect with the builders.
Now, John Paul, you feel energies. I mean, that's part of what you do automatically. Can you describe to us any specific emotions or feelings that you had, energetic absorption of what you felt energetically at Adam's calendar, or as you approach it, once you're inside it, the difference, or anything that you'd like to share regarding that?
Well, there's definitely a boundary. There's an outer boundary. So for those of you who don't know, it's on the edge of a cliff. So you can't approach it from the cliff face because you'd have to fly there. But you approach it from the land side. And when you come up, there's a definite feeling of a boundary. You absolutely know when you cross that boundary. Suddenly the hairs stand up, something's magnetic, you feel quickening is what I would describe it. Something there's energy. You feel, oh, wow, pay attention, look up. So there's something that alerts you. If you've been complacent, you just can't. Once you're across that line, it's just a lot of energy. So you notice something, and everyone that crosses that line, well, you've led hundreds of people, and it must be fun for you to watch them step over that line and see them light up.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do is, as you know, we've done it many times. When we first discovered that the place is highly energetic, one of the first things, before we actually measured the frequencies and the electromagnetic fields, one of the first things I can't even remember, it was very, very early in me starting to take people and tourists, mostly in those days were mostly spiritual people and spiritual tourists, spiritual tourism, and people that were interested in Anunnaki and so forth, taking them to Adam's calendar, and somebody brought their GPS in there and they went, wow, I just lost my GPS signal inside Adam's calendar in the circular kind of structure. Yep. It's stone wall. It's not, it's not a circular wall, but you can clearly see from the aerial photographs that it used to be originally a circular structure that similar to Stonehenge, with these standing stones everywhere, smaller than Stonehenge, but very powerful because of what they do, the electromagnetic fields and the toroidal fields that they create. We'll get into that much later. But the first time they brought in this GPS and said, oh my God, I've lost my GPS. Oh no, it's come back. It's come back. Oh, it's gone. Oh, it's come back. And so I went, wow, that's amazing. So we checked that out, and then I brought my own GPS in there, and I went, oh my God, yes. So what happens is that something is going on there that keeps interrupting the signal to your GPS satellite. And that clearly says it's a powerful field, because that doesn't happen outside. Yes, you lose signal every now and then, but that's just glitches and whatever, not glitches, but going on. But in Adam's calendar, it's very obvious and the moment you step across that boundary that you described, that energetic boundary where you can feel your hair stand up, and we know exactly where that boundary is because we've measured it many, many times.
Yep.
And as you go in there with your GPS, it's gone. And it keeps connecting and losing connection and reconnecting. And during that period of reconnection, it comes back and it shows you north is over there. Then it comes back and it says, oh, now north is over there. And it comes back and now it's moved over there. So it keeps changing. And then you realize, okay, this is a moving magnetic field. The energy field or this vortex that we're inside is living. It's alive. It's moving. And this is why it keeps moving the north on your compass or on your GPS around. And that is really important. It took me many years to realize how important that is. And so that's why what we know today about Adam's calendar and the powerful machine that it was must have been just unimaginable to us today. This giant vortex toroidal field machine that was constructed there, that boggles the mind. What we now know, and what I suspect, what we know from shamanic, again, teachings and downloads and channelings, is that it was used as a teleportation device.
Sure. Well, you feel that unlike other sites, I've been to sites all over the world, who feel very grounded. They're connected. This is the place. When you're at Adam's calendar, you feel like you're on a kind of tilting saucer. Is the best thing I can explain. That it's kind of this thing that's delicately balanced, but in motion. You don't feel that you've grounded to the earth. You don't feel that sense of grounding that you feel if you're at Stonehenge or at some of the other sites that you've got. You definitely don't feel that. So it feels as though underneath Adam's calendar there is something else. And, there have been people who have said there's a crystal cave. I don't know, but definitely you get a feeling that there's a thin layer of earth and then there's something else there that this is sitting on, that is generating this energy, and that the energy hits these stones, and the stones are, thank God, what's kind of anchoring this thing so it doesn't just fly off.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to be discussed about what is beneath Adam's calendar. Today we have new information that has reached me. It's a few years ago now, but very little exploration has been done because it's very difficult, as you know. I mean, you can't go over the edge there. There's lots of bushes and trees. So to go and explore that is a very difficult and dangerous thing to do because, you'll die. You fall 200 meters. 300 meters down into the valley and that's it. And there's no one that can fetch you because to get down there, you can't get down there. So you have to go all the way around down to Barberton and then drive all the way back through farmlands and dirt roads and forestry to get back to that cliff edge where you might have fallen. And what we do know from oral reports from people that have been down there or looked over and gone down there is that there are many bones, remains of beings at the edge of that cliff.
Wow.
I suspect that some of it has been covered by soil and sand and so forth, but I've had more than one person that tell me they don't know if it's animal remains or human remains at the bottom of the edge where Adam's calendar sits on. Now, that's really interesting because we know that there's been sacrifice and like the Mayas, when they fell, the Mayan civilization used to just sacrifice thousands of people and throw them over the edge. And even in Zulu tradition, African tribal tradition, where they would kill people and sacrifice them by throwing them over the edge of a cliff. And not just here, but all over the world. So I also had some shamanic downloads or channelings where they tell me that there was a period long after the fall of Adam's calendar, where it was no longer used by the Anunnaki, when the more recent tribes, whoever came in, that would hold on to that knowledge or that energy or trying to utilize it and abuse the site for their own benefits, how they would perform sacrificial bloodletting and sacrifice blood for Orion. Like that, you've got to give blood to Orion. And we know that there's secret societies that still do that today. These dark cults of Marduk and that do bloodletting and child sacrifice and all this. It's just horrific stuff that's going on. And that Adam's calendar was used after it was pretty much abandoned by the Anunnaki for its original purpose, and it was destroyed, that it was used for sacrifice to try and somehow bring the power and the energy back. So I wonder if some of that at the bottom, and if we go and dig at the bottom, which, as you know, is a costly and a difficult exercise, what we will find there. I suspect there's some incredible, deep, ancient, historic evidence lying at the bottom of the edge of Adam's calendar.
Yep. Well, and I recall just on this last time that we were together and flying a drone across the cliff and looking at that cliff face where you can see these plugs. You know, there's the rock, and then suddenly there's this, what looks like an artificial plug right below Adam's calendar. Yes. Two of them. That very clearly, when you look at those images.
Yeah, that's very clear. I want to talk about that as little as possible, because that's some serious exploration needs to be done to go and look. Are those real plugs? Did somebody plug up those entrances to this this cave or whatever is there? That's really important. So I think maybe on this note we can end this first discussion and pick up again tomorrow or whenever, because I think this is a good highlight and a high point to end our first chat.